And Adrian, can you see my screen all right? Everything's coming in loud and clear?
Yes, it looks great. Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, guys, the way I usually start these demos is I usually cut them up into two pieces. One's the end user experience. So what are your end users really going to experience when using your product? And the second piece is really the administrative experience. And it's really in that second piece that we're going to say, oh, this is applicable for me as an administrator because, setting up AD takes 5 minutes. Or automating, life cycle management tasks such as creating or deprovisioning application accounts takes 5 minutes. It's really that second piece that you really want to stick around for. But I always think it's paramount to get an idea of what our end users are seeing. So what you're looking at right now is, the Okta default login screen. You can host your own, right? If you want to develop you have your own in-house developers and you actually want to host your own login screen, you can do that, but Okta gives you one by default. So I'm a little bit egotistical, so I named the company after myself, vanbeektech.okta.com. And it's really here that I can log in with my AD credentials or LDAP credentials, or even if I don't have an external store, I can have credentials stored in an Okta if that's the goal. But the main idea is no matter where my user's stored, no matter where the identity store is, I can log in with those credentials into Okta and reach all my applications. Now, if I do have any AD admins out there, or LDAP admins, one thing that's really critical with Okta is from this sign-in widget alone, you can actually allow self-service for your end users. So if you have an overwhelmed help desk today that says, oh, we got another reset password, another user's locked out, you can actually save a lot of time just on this page alone by enabling self-service. So an end user can get back to their day quite quickly. They don't have to worry about, going to IT to reset their passwords, and then IT doesn't have to stop what they're doing in their day to help their one user log back in. So here I'm going to actually log in with my AD credentials here. And I'm going to be authenticated into Okta. And as you can see, I can have all my different applications here. Now, one thing that's really critical to think about here is that I have all my applications here. They're all federated. All the ones that support SAML are federated. I have WS federation going on here. And one thing to think about is Okta is an all-cloud product. So what this really means is that if we think about, what this would take to run on, let's say, a competitor's environment, this federation alone would be, 1 to 4 servers you'd have to run. Now, if we wanted to engage in things such as multi-factor, device management, that would be another 4 servers in itself with the load balancers. Now, with Okta, you get all of this without any on-prem infrastructure. It's all driven by the cloud. And your end users can securely log in to all their applications by clicking on a tile. So it's very intuitive. All your users, if they want to log into G Suite, they just click on G Suite. But there are going to be cases that we don't want that simple authentication. We as administrators want to protect our resources. So you can actually see this application called Workday that's actually federated with my environment. And one thing that's key here is that it's locked. I actually have a geolocation rule here that, that my Okta is placed on my federated applications that says, hey, if you're not in the office, if you're not in this IP range, if you're not in this geovelocity of the city or the United States, you cannot log into Workday. In this case, I have a IP range rule here. I like to call this my Starbucks rule. So if you have an application with critical and sensitive data, and you don't want your end users to access it in, high-risk type areas, such as in public. For example, if they get a croissant at Starbucks and then all your HR data is just open and available to be updated and read in a Starbucks, that's an idea that a lot of people don't like. But with Okta, you can lock down cloud applications that are federated so your end users cannot actually access them. And since this federation is happening, they have to go through Okta to log into them. Another option too is simply engaging into a multi-factor policy. So one thing I want us to take note of is already we saw G Suite. I was able to log in seamlessly. Workday, I'm not able to log in at all due to security posturing. And now Salesforce is sort of in the middle of, that spectrum. I'm able to authenticate, but only if I can prove that I am who I say I am through a multi-factor prompt. And one thing that's very important about our multi-factor here is that, this is happening at the Okta level. So whether your application natively supports multi-factor or doesn't support multi-factor, you can always apply multi-factor to that application with Okta. And not only, let me take a step back. So just to reiterate, every single application that I've integrated into my Okta is now eligible for multi-factor on this dashboard. Now, not only is that true, but Okta comes with a great MFA solution that comes right out of the box. But if you are tied to other vendors such as Google, RSA, YubiKey, or you have situations where, a soft token isn't enough, you actually need a physical token, such as in the YubiKey scenarios, we're technology agnostic. We always believe you should have the applications that your company prefers, that your companies want to use. And the same thing goes with security, right? Just think of us as this middleman technology where you plug in the solutions you want into Okta to ensure you have the best experience. Now, I'm just going to use the Okta Verify because this is the factor that most of our customers use because they know it, they love it, and it makes their end users secure and happy at the same time. So notice there's no code, there's nothing I have to type in, I just get a simple approve. It's telling me I'm actually in DC this week, I'm my IP address. And what's critical here is that, if someone was logging in from Russia or China, right, and actually I get this nice little biometric option if you want extra security so you can even put a thumbprint on there, like I did. But, as I was saying, if your end users could even see if someone tries to log into their Salesforce and they're in China or Russia for some reason, your end user is going to be notified. They're going to see a multi-factor prompt coming to their iPad or their iPhone. And I like to think, end users are, they're diligent enough to know that, hey, I'm not in China. We're a financial company. We're a health company. I should let my administrator know that someone was trying to log in as me. Right? But with that extra thumbprint, it's even more secure in the sense that even if someone steals a device, they're not going to have your thumbprint. And this comes right out of the box, right? And one thing, and just to check on time here, I think, one thing that's also critical too is that with Okta, you can actually allow end users to have personal applications as well. Right, so people might think this is a nice courtesy to your end user, but it's really more of a best security practice when you think about it, because every end user has, has a Facebook, has a Hulu, has a LinkedIn, and Netflix, and it's really not uncommon for end users to use their same passwords for their corporate passwords. So if someone brute forces and social engineers someone's social account, it's not a stretch that they can look up their work email on LinkedIn or what have you, and then try to use that same password for that work email. But one thing by using Okta is if you allow your end users to add their own personal accounts, then you're decreasing all those breach points. Instead of having 50 points where your users could be breached, there's going to be only one credential that your end user has to care about. And since you put MFA on your general portal to prevent users from logging into Okta in general, you don't have to worry about credentials being compromised anymore because you have those factors to protect you. Now, hopefully this is all making sense, but one thing I also want to show is that for your end user side, everything they have on the web, they also have mobilely as well. So here I have all the same applications straight on my iPad. Now just to shift gears, because I think Adrian and I have another 14 minutes left, I think.
Yes, moving